What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the first yard. I hope you guys are having a great day today. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over my Madden 21 franchise and regular gameplay sliders. Now, these do work with all Madden and all Pro, and we are going to get into that. But before we get into that, if you can, please do hit that thumbs up button so other people can see the video, and make sure to comment down below and subscribe. Now, with that being said, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first thing you want to do when you hop into your franchise mode is go to your whatever team you're using. Could be your favorite team. Go to whatever team you are using, press on it. Then you want to go ahead and go down to league settings. Now, once you are in league settings here, you want to change your skill level to all pro or all Madden. Personally, I think these sliders work best with all Madden, but they definitely do work well with all pro. The only difference is that, it seems a little bit easier with all pro, especially if you have a good team that's over an 84, 85 overall. You will kind of overpower the offense, which isn't, obviously turning it up to all Madden makes it so it's a little bit more competitive, makes it a little bit more hard. And, the second thing we want to do here is go to game style and then change that to competitive. I know it sounds kind of weird, but honestly, when you change this to competitive compared to simulation, what it does is it really limits the amount of broken tackles, amount of just really crazy plays that are going to happen within your gameplay. So definitely change it to competitive. Now, obviously, most of the rest of these settings here, you can do whatever you want with them. Really here, all I want to go over is if you are going to do the play call cooldown, what I would do is instead of making it so there's a limit, do the cooldown, do it for around 2 to 3 plays. That seems to work best. If you're doing multiple league rosters, definitely put this up to 52. And honestly, the rest of this is fine. You can either leave your quarter length up to, personally, I like 8 minutes with Excel clock off, but that's honestly all up to you. Now, we're going to go press back here. You can go ahead and choose whatever character you want to be, do whatever other league settings you want to do here. And we're just going to go ahead and hop into our league, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what we're going to do with these gameplay sliders. So I guess the best thing about these gameplay sliders here is that just overall they work really, really well, especially because you won't throw as many picks as you would with your normal Madden sliders. So I'm just going to go ahead and import my sliders here. So this is what we got going for. So for player skill, we have 50 accuracy for QB accuracy. Pass blocking, we have 50. Wide receiver catching is 48. If you turn it down just a little bit, they are going to catch a pretty good amount of passes, but there is going to be the occasional drop like you do see in the NFL. Now, when we go down to run blocking 50, leave that the same. Fumbling, leave that the same. Pass defense reaction time, you want to leave the same. Interceptions, you definitely want to bring down because obviously in this year's Madden, it is pretty easy to pick off the ball. So just turning this down just around 40, it means that you really can pick the ball off, just not as frequently as you would. It makes a little bit more of a realistic feel for actually playing gameplay, especially if you're doing a multi-user league. Now, going over to pass coverage, we do have 50. I think that, just kind of leaving the pass coverage at 50 is pretty good. It leaves some guys open, leaves it just also pretty good coverage at times. Tackling, I want to move down to 46 because that really allows, big playmakers to actually break those tackles. And also for your like Bobby Wagner's or Luke Kuechly's, they are going to be able to actually make those tackles while you have some corners. They're actually going to be able to not make, the tackles that they shouldn't make, which I think is extremely important, especially if you're going for a realistic type of game. Now, going into the CPU skill, quarterback accuracy at 50, pass blocking at 50, wide receiver catching, we're going to bring down to 48 just because definitely the CPU, they love catching the ball. It seems like they never drop it. So just turning it down a couple notches, you can even bring it down to like 47, 46. It will really allow you to be actually able to play defense without them catching every single ball. I know I experienced that when it was at 50. It was super annoying, so just bring that down to 48 and you will be fine. Now, obviously, run blocking, we're going to leave at 50. Fumbles, bring up to 55. Now, honestly, I've been testing this out all year. you might want to even push it up to like 58 because in this year's Madden, like players just do not fumble unless it's the quarterback. So really, if you want, you can bring this up to around 60 or 58. But right now, I'm just going to leave it at 55. Now, play defense reaction time. We are going to leave that at 45, bring it down to 45, just because it will mean that they will not jump the ball as quickly, they will not jump it, or they just won't play the ball as fast, allowing your offense the time to actually play offense. They won't get picked off like crazy. And, just bring it down a little bit just means it's a little bit more realistic to me. Now, interceptions. This is the most crucial thing you need to do. Bring this down to 35. Now, why 35? Well, it's simple. If you have played Madden 21, if you have played franchise mode in Madden 21, and you have done the default sliders, you would know that interceptions happen way, way, way too often. So by bringing it down to 35, it means that they will drop interceptions that they should drop. It might happen a little bit more than you think it should, but trust me, leaving it at 35 means, obviously, if you make a mistake, they're not going to pick it off instantly. You're not going to have like 6 picks, 5 picks in a game. This really brings it down to like maybe 1, 2, or 3 picks in a game at most. And I think it's just really, really helpful, and it's really it benefits not only you, but also the realism of playing in Madden. Now, obviously, pass coverage we are going to leave at 50, and tackling we're going to bring down to 48 for the same reasons that we did for the user skill. Now, the special teams you don't necessarily have to do. I do recommend if you're trying to go for a more realistic fill, just because I know with the default sliders in Madden, it's not really that realistic for field goals or just regular kickoffs or punts. And so what we're really trying to go for here with our special teams is make it so it acts like it actually is in the real NFL, like you see on TV. Now, with field goal power, we are bringing that up to 70 because when you look at the NFL, you will notice that kickers, they do have a very, very, very good leg. And, obviously kickers nowadays are kicking, 55 yarders, even possibly 60 yarders sometimes, even though it is kind of rare. And for that reason, we are going to bring it up to 70. Field goal accuracy, obviously, this year, I would say that field goal accuracy, especially for kickers in the NFL, hasn't been the greatest, especially like week 1 through week 4 of this season. I will say there were no OTAs, but it just wasn't that great. So if you really want to, you could probably bring this down to like 60. Personally, I like it at 65 just because it does allow for that wiggle room to actually miss, but for the most part to actually make the kicks. Now, punting power, we're going to take to 55. I know that punters, they can kick it pretty well. The whole thing about special teams nowadays is that, punters really don't get on the field. And, when they do, it's just having these ratings is really going to make, a decent punter different from a great punter. The great punter is going to be able to kick it, all the way down to the 20, while the, decent punters are going to be able to put it down to like the 40-yard line. So I think that is a perfect number for the kick power. Now, kick accuracy, this is going to distinguish, the decent from the great. Obviously, when you have a great punter, they're going to be able to put it in the exact spot that you want it. And when you have a decent punter, maybe not so much, just like the actual NFL. That's why we have so many like special teams unit nowadays. That's why I'm leaving it at 45 for realism. Now, kickoff power, we are going to put at 50 just because, kickoffs, for the most part, pretty fair. They do go in the end zone quite a bit, so I think that is a good number. You could probably bring this up to 55 or 60 if you so wanted to. Really, that just allows you to actually be able to kick it into the backfield with the wind. And, I think that really, it makes it a pretty good realistic feel for that one. Now, going into the game options here, injuries I'm going to put at 18. Now, if I'm being honest, injuries this year don't really matter where you put them. From what I've noticed, I've really brought this thing up all the way to 25. And, I've really been trying to figure out what the perfect number for injuries is because you don't want too many, but you actually want some injuries as well. So really putting this in between the 18 mark to the 21, 22 mark will be fine. I know that once you get up until the 23 to 25 mark, there are way too many injuries. So really putting this at 18, 19, or 20 is going to be your best bet. Now, fatigue, we are going to put at 60 just for realism's sake. And, really, when you look at the NFL nowadays, you will notice that a lot of these wide receivers, there's a lot of rotations, happening in the NFL. So, you'll have players that'll play for like two plays, 3 plays, 4 plays, and then the backups are going to go in. So what this really allows is it allows your backup wide receivers to actually get a chance to play in the actual games and let your starters actually rest for a little bit. And so I think 60 is an absolutely perfect number. You can take it down if you so choose to, as along with all of these other slider settings. But really looking at everything else here, I would just go over the penalties really quick. So offsides 50, false start 50, holding 50, face masks 50. It doesn't seem to really have too much of an impact. If anything, out of all these sliders, you might want to pull down holding possibly to like 47, just because they do hold a little bit too much, 47 or 48. Not any lower though, just because it won't really call any holding, and we don't really want that. Now, obviously, with defensive pass interference, we're going to put that down to 45, just because you do want some pass interference calls, but you don't want too many. And especially with Madden, this is a really weird slider where if you put it up too much, there will be way too many pass interference calls, but if you put it down too much, there will be none, like, whatsoever. So putting it at 45 or 46 is going to be the perfect amount. I seriously recommend putting it at 45, though, just because it seems to be a perfect slider, perfect kind of balance for me in my games at least. Now, really going down to everything else, the only thing I will say that you should probably turn off is the running into the kicker. You can really leave off, just because it doesn't really mean anything. Honestly, if like people just want to troll you, in my opinion, I just turn off so people, if they do want to troll me with hitting my kicker, I don't have to deal with that. So you can just let the game keep playing. But yeah, so these are my Madden 21 sliders. If you guys want to see my XP sliders, please do let me know in the comments down below. Do leave a thumbs up button, and also go check out my social media down in the description for the latest Madden 21 and any really sports news. I do post on there more often, and I will be actually talking with you guys more often through that. And with that said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I will see you guys next time.